we have reached the fifth and final episode on the four different decisions we make in chess, and maybe we should revise the 4 different decisions.
Yeah. Okay. First,
I'm Grandmaster Jakob and you're Nikos.
I'm Nikos. Okay. In the first video, we looked at automatic decisions.
No, we did not. We look at. We had an introduction video.
Okay.
Second video. We
Okay.
looked in the first.
We
Automatic
have the
decision.
automatic decisions.
And
we
then
have the simple decisions.
Yeah.
We have the critical moments.
Yeah. And now we have reached
The strategic decisions.
so strategic decisions. So basically, the first 3 categories are very simple categories to explain. They're very narrow in their scope, and to avoid having 28 categories, it's fair to have a 4th category, which is everything else, which is
Fair enough.
basically positions of high complexity. Sometimes this is what happens in games on high level, that you have a lot of complexity in the game, and they outplay each other with very deep moves. This is how Gelfand made a lot of his great wins. Of course, also some players manage to outplay their opponents with simple decisions, which is the way Geary plays, or some people they manage to get good positions and outcalculate their players. Nakamura is one I will think of. Gets all these attacking chances and then is very accurate in his calculation. Strategic decisions are in positions where there will be some calculation, there will be some thinking deep. Things are not as they seem immediately, many options, but on the other hand, we cannot maybe calculate everything to a clear conclusion. There will be some element of guessing. You took something down from the shelf here. So I wrote a book with training in strategic decision making, which is the first time I described my theory on the 4 types of decisions. It's called Strategic Play. I think it's from 2013. And I have to say, in that position, just in that book, just like in this position, actually there is calculated to clarity. If you can find that during a game, it's not so easy. Here we have a game between Emanuel Berg from Sweden and Jordan van Forest from the Netherlands. It was played in 2014. And Black has just played knight c3, which has taken the position from being quite simple to being very sharp. So I could give you half an hour here, and we could find out what to do.
Yeah.
But it's Sunday, and you have an early flight tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me escape this.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, what's your first instinct? Come on, let's think chess from scratch.
Rook takes c6 is my first instinct, but I think it's too much.
I'm saying chess from scratch. No, it's take the free piece.
Okay, yeah, take the free piece. But what I see is that I am losing a piece.
Yeah, I want to say first of all, the game bishop g5 was played, and after knight f6, queen takes c3, when Black showed his idea, which is a pawn sacrifice. So White's pawn structure and the king is destroyed, and Black wins back the piece for a pawn. White's actually okay here. It's a complicated position, but Black eventually won the game. But the interesting thing is, in a position like this, there's many options. And
without bishop g5.
And without bishop g5, thank you very much. And I think that those who want to should really have a deep think here, and then come back and compare themselves with the rest of the video, and you should stop the video now. And I think you will enjoy this position, because it is actually very clear in the end. But for the rest of us, I'll just show the solution, and in the end I will explain how that we start off with a position here which is in this case tactical, but it could also be complex for other reasons, and then we end with some kind of positional clarity at the end. That is our dream. We will not always get that. Very often we will guess, and you could play one move and you could play another, and we could go through a game and we could debate that here it is a very complicated position and he chose this plan, but also this plan was interesting, stuff like that, and we could be here all day. But I'm just going to show like a strategic decision how work out. So queen takes c3 should be a candidate, and black's idea is bishop f3, and now b5 is coming. So because we are skilled in calculation, we see that we have this extra move d5, because we think slowly and we look for candidates. And there's a direct threat of queen takes g7, and there's a threat of d takes e6. So it's very sharp and very concrete. So there's a few options here. Let's, for example, say castle. It's a very logical move. D takes e6 is no catastrophe now. Actually, open the f file would be dangerous for white, not for black. And this b5 move is still coming. But white is then able to solve his strategic problems, which is the pieces are not playing. Bishop b2, threatening mate in 1. Black plays queen g5. Knight f6 is also possible, but let's not go into all details. Queen g5, and then check. And queen takes f3. And if rook c4, then we have queen d3 check. And if pawn takes d5, we have knight e3. And we see now that the position has changed, but the pawn on d5 is very weak, it's under pressure. The bishop on b2 is very strong. The knight on d7 finds problems with stability. King on h7 is a little bit exposed. There could be some check, like queen h3 is check, threatened. Basically, white has a very, very good position. I think knight b6, maybe bishop d4 is towards the end, or knight f5 also looks very strong. We're not here wanting to calculate this to a win or anything, but here we know we're better. We're happy. We have many options because the opponent has many problems. So that's one variation. Another variation here is very logical bishop d5. Queen takes g7 and then queen f6. And take and take. And again white solves his problem, which is bishop b2. The bishop comes into the game, and for example, bishop c4, bishop takes f6. Castle, not the only move, but there are other options, and then bishop e4. And the game goes on. And here black's position is simply weaker than white's. The white bishops are stronger than the black bishops. And white has the d-file, and he's much better. And from a seemingly very complex position, here, we are able to find clarity. This is a very good calculation if you solve this. A lot of very strong grandmasters got this exercise wrong. I'm very confused, and in the game also a strong grandmaster got it wrong with white and lost. Chess is very difficult. That's really important always to remember when you're working on chess, because otherwise it can be very dispiriting. But this is an example of a complicated moment. I could also show a lot of others. Actually, you will find in this book many types of complex decisions or strategic decisions. And I just want to look up, and I want to make sure I'm not saying something wrong here. But I have dealt with the book in squares, pieces, and prophylaxis as the first three things. Do you recognize that from anything?
My system?
No. It is where are the weaknesses?
Okay, yeah.
What is the opponent's idea, and which is the worst placed piece? Squares, pieces, and prophylaxis. The order of these three questions are not important. They just want to help you in your mind to understand what is important here. So for example, here in this position, black's played knight c3. Where are the weaknesses? There's a weakness on g7. There's a weakness on d4. There is weakness here. Or we could actually say that black wants to exploit this. Black wants to take on f3. So what's the worst placed pieces? Well, it could be very natural to think this one and this one. But we shouldn't miss the fact that these pieces here, the bishop on c1 and the king on e8, are not in the game. The development hasn't been completed. So in that way you can also help finding out which way should you go with the calculation. So strategic moments, strategic decisions, are to a great extent a combination of simple decisions
And calculation.
and calculation. And in that way, chess is actually just building another layer of bricks of intricacies and difficulty on top of each other all the time. The tactics that a grandmaster misses are often 5-move tactics or 4-move tactics, while the amateur might miss the first 1 or 2 moves, or the last 1 or 2 moves if they had it on the board in these kind of positions. So in many ways it's the same game all along. For everyone, it's just how deep we're able to go into it, and that's where some games where grandmasters beat, let's say, very strong club players, 2300 rated players, very, very easily. It's because their strategic scope is just much, much larger. I think that's decent rounding off. If you want to know more about these 4 decisions, then I recommend strongly to start with Thinking Inside the Box, which I wrote, was published in 2017, and it was the what is the Facebook Chess Collectors Facebook group voted as the best chess book of 2017. A few votes in front of a book by Jan Timman's Giants or something like this, which was published in 2016. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. No, the Timman book is absolutely great, and it won the English Chess Federation Book of the Year 2017. And they can do that because they run from August till July, while I was assuming the other one was a yearly thing. To me it doesn't matter. I just for every vote I received I was happy, because it meant somebody had liked the book enough to vote for it. But I think we finished our theme.
Yes, we did.
And you can hear that I'm not a native English speaker. Theme sometimes struggles with this. Also, I don't have a good W. Can you say wine?
Wine?
So he can. I don't know. Do you have a W in Greek? Natural sound. No, we don't have it. I always say wine.
Yeah,
You know,
the
so that,
Germans
and
do
then
that
yeah, people say
white beans here. Anyway.
And it should come from a Greek to make jokes of me and Germans. Yeah.
No, I love Germans.
You love Germans. Yeah.
Otto Hagel helped us to win the European Championship 2004.
Yes, it's the last time Germany did anything for Greece. Okay. I hope you found this little series informative, and we'll be back with more vlogs in the future.
Yeah.
I am Jakob, and
I'm Nikos.
take care of yourself and play chess excellently. Thank you very much.